Star Trek keeps finding ways to make Brent Spiner break his data promise, and long may it continue. Brent Spiner once promised he was finished playing Data. That declaration came more than once, always with conviction, always with finality. And yet, here we are, years after Data's noble death in Star Trek, Nemesis, and again in Star Trek, Picard Season 1, still watching Spiner return, again and again, to the Star Trek universe in some form, with some new android twist. And honestly, we wouldn't have it any other way. For a character that was explicitly dismantled and given a tear-jerking goodbye, not once but twice, it's a bit of a miracle, or perhaps a Starfleet-level loophole, that Spiner's Data or his many siblings and offshoots keep coming back. But instead of diminishing the power of Data's legacy, each return has somehow managed to enhance it, reminding audiences why Brent Spiner remains one of Star Trek's greatest assets. The original farewell. Or so we thought. Back in 2002 Star Trek, Nemesis, Data sacrificed himself to save Captain Picard and the Enterprise. It was a heroic, emotional ending that felt final. Even then, Brent Spiner made it clear in interviews that he didn't intend to return to the role. Age, he noted, was a factor. Data is an ageless android, and the actor playing him naturally is not. Spiner has always had a shrewd understanding of storytelling and character consistency, and he wanted to protect Data from becoming a caricature. He wanted to leave on a high note, and he did. But Star Trek had other ideas. Picard Season 1, The Beautiful Goodbye. 17 years later, Star Trek, Picard brought Brent Spiner back, once again in the familiar pale makeup and gold eyes. This time, the role came with a powerful emotional weight. In the first season of Picard, Data appears in a digital afterlife, a simulation preserved from a memory transfer before his death. It allowed for a proper farewell, a chance for closure that Nemesis never quite delivered. When Data asks Jean-Luc Picard to let him die, to allow his consciousness to fade, so he can experience mortality, it's one of the most moving moments in Star Trek history. It was, for all intents and purposes, Data's definitive end. And Spiner, once again, swore that this would be the last time. But Star Trek still wasn't done. The many faces of Brent Spiner. Here's the trick Star Trek keeps pulling. If Brent Spiner can't, or won't, play Data anymore, they'll just have him play someone who looks like Data. The franchise leaned hard into the legacy of Dr. Noonien Soong, Data's creator. In Picard Season 1, Spiner portrayed Alton Inigo Soong, yet another descendant of the Soong lineage, complete with his own ethical ambiguities and obsession with synthetic life. Then came Picard Season 3, and with it, the most audacious twist yet. Not only did Spiner return to play a mysterious, composite android called Daystrom Data, a fusion of Data, Lore, B4, and Lao, but he ended up evolving into a new version of Data altogether, one capable of growth, emotion, and humor. Somehow, Star Trek pulled off a resurrection that didn't cheapen Data's previous deaths, but instead acknowledged them and built something new. Spiner didn't break his promise. Star Trek simply rewrote the rules of the game. Why it works and why fans love it. The brilliance of Spiner's continued involvement lies in the franchise's ability to morph, both narratively and thematically. Unlike many sci-fi universes, Star Trek has always embraced complexity. Death isn't just a door that closes. It's a chance to ask new questions about identity, technology, memory, and legacy. Spiner, to his credit, never phones it in. Whether he's playing a quirky Soong ancestor, a twisted villain, or a kinder, wiser version of Data, he brings intelligence and gravitas to every scene. His performances anchor much of Picard's emotional resonance, and his chemistry with Patrick Stewart is as potent as ever. Even as Spiner has aged, the writers have found clever ways to integrate that reality. The new Data is deliberately designed to appear older, human-like, mortal, evolved. The very idea that Data has grown past his programming is a beautiful metaphor for Brent Spiner himself, the actor who once said goodbye, but found a new way to say hello. Let him keep breaking the promise. At this point, it's almost become a running joke. Brent Spiner says he's done with Data, and Star Trek just hands him another role that looks, sounds, and feels suspiciously like the android we all love. But unlike other franchises that force legacy characters into awkward cameos or hollow nostalgia plays, Star Trek keeps finding thoughtful, surprising ways to make Spiner's returns matter. In fact, if Star Trek, Legacy, or any future show were to continue with a new Enterprise under the command of 7 of 9, There's no doubt fans would.